I remember a time, it was a dark Sunday evening, afternoon, it was around 7 o'clock, I'd just gone home from a part-time job, and I was going to go and hit the gym. I'd been doing some stuff in the morning before I went to that job, and now was my time to work out, do my push workout, pretty sure it was what it was. And I enter my gym, I've got my hoodie, my coat on, because it's pretty cold outside. It was around October, September time, it's getting darker outside, and it's around maybe 8, 7 o'clock, as I've said, and I'm going into the gym, and suddenly I just feel these pangs of, like, pain. Like, I've not even started my sets yet, I've not even started my bench press yet, but something inside of me just doesn't feel right. I don't feel connected with everything that exists around me. I feel abandoned. I feel isolated. For no particular reason. I've done this loads of times before. I've been alone in the gym. Sometimes my friends will come round and I'll invite them and we'll hit a gym session together. That's all, like, fine and nice, and I love doing that. But I've also been in the gym alone many times at, like, a night when it's dark, an evening when it's dark, and not felt this weird pain of just isolation and abandonment. I felt, like, lonely. I felt this pang of just gut-wrenching loneliness for no particular reason. Nothing at all. I just felt weird because I guess I hadn't seen too many people all day, and now I was going to my gym. My family would have been doing other things inside. I'm just here, my hood's up because it's, like, freezing cold. I've got this specific coat on over a hoodie, and then I'll go in to do my bench press. But I just feel, like, null and void and numb in a way. I feel like this loneliness has just sucked the soul out of my life essence. And I know that while you don't necessarily get these feelings sort of rationally, you may be alone but not lonely, you may feel lonely, you may feel these pangs of pain, but also be with friends and stuff. It's such a weird emotional response that can just happen at any time. And I want in this video to just help you deal with that weird emotion, the emotion of loneliness, because it is such a weird thing to understand and to deal with. I still had my family, my friends just around me at this time. I had them at the click of a finger with my phone and all that sort of stuff. But I just didn't feel like a human being. I felt isolated. I felt abandoned. I felt lonely. I got these pangs of pain in my, like, gut. And I think there are around 3 ways that you can just use to implement in your life to hopefully get these weird feelings just less, to be able to experience life more, not get these feelings, especially when you're with people. Because, as I say, you can get these with... I got them when I was alone in my gym, and I've also gotten them when I've been with random people before. Just the pang of pain of not feeling socially accepted and just feeling like you are isolated, abandoned, and lonely. And the first way to overcome this is to have less friends. It seems counterproductive, but trust me on this, it works. The one analogy example that I can give you, imagine you're at a gathering with 4 of your closest friends. You've got a social circle of like 5-ish people, and you regularly text each other, like ask how you're doing. You see each other once a week. You maybe go to school together, and you like are at a gathering. You are at like your like cabin or whatever. For instance, this thing, I invite my friends over here sometimes. Not like 20 of them, but it's like usually 3, 4, 5, 6, like 8 maybe at most or something. But when you're in that kind of environment, you feel accepted. You feel part of the group. You're not isolated. You're not away. You crack a joke and everyone's laughing and they're on the floor rolling around because everyone's like, your presence isn't diluted. When you are with a group, a party of 20 people, maybe even more, you have a friend group that is that big. When you are out together and one of you cracks a joke, everyone will just like go like, ha, and then they will all forget about it. And then you'll get that pang of loneliness, as everyone will when they crack a joke, because it's like your essence, your life essence among the 20 people is just diluted. There can only be enough, there can only be a finite amount of attention that everyone can give you. You can't be speaking to multiple people, like the direct eye contact, full attention at one point in time. So the attention that is given to each individual is diluted. One person is not going to give 19 people the same amount of attention as one person will give 4 other people the same amount of attention. Mathematically, logically, that is a understandable thing, right? So when you were in that group of 20 people, you would all just feel less accepted. But if you imagine like a 1, if you imagine a whole number 1, and then you go into fractions after that, you have 1, and then in 20 people, you have like, you all have this feeling of 1/20th of individual acceptance. When you're in a group of 5, you have like 1/5. That's so much more. 1/20th is like 0.05, then 1/5 is like 0.2 or something like that. That is a lot more, and you end up having a lot more attention. You feel more socially accepted just because of the fact that you have less friends and you spend quality time with quality people. And now I'm not saying to get rid of all your friends. You can have a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances especially, but when you go to all these massively overstimulating parties where you've got so many people, it can be up to like hundreds even, and you will be there, you are around loads of people, you'll just feel like this pang of loneliness still for no particular reason, even though you're around so many people. It won't go away if you sort of continue to, if you feel like you're lonely because you're alone, then you continue to surround yourself with just loads and loads of people. You're still going to have the same issues because no one's going to be able to give their attention to you and to you alone. And that means that you won't feel lonely because you're going to actually have some kind of social acceptance. You're going to actually be on the ladder of status among other people's minds and mindsets in a way. And that's going to mean that if you're just surrounding yourself with hundreds of other people, you're not really going to be anywhere special. But if you have like deep and personal conversations with 5 other people on a daily basis, then that's going to mean that you feel accepted and you climb up these people's social hierarchy and you climb up the social hierarchy in general. Now, the second way to stop these pangs of loneliness, or at least stop their occurrence to somewhat of an extent, because realistically it's an emotional response and it probably won't forever be gone from your life, but the second way is to talk to your family more. So many people just don't talk to their family as much as they used to. Family used to be the only thing that people like actually valued. If you didn't have a family, you weren't really like a valued person in like the tribe, for instance, or whatever. If you didn't have a family, you wouldn't survive because you would be lonely and you wouldn't have anyone that's actually truly on your side. Nowadays, people are just very oddly rude to their parents, and I succumb to this exact same thing. It's like a social thing that happens in the modern world. No one used to be like rude to their parents, or they'd literally just get beaten up. But now there's some kind of, I don't know how to say it. You can get away with things as a child. You can get away with just disrespecting people because of social media, etc. And they will do that to the parents. And people just consider it like, oh, it's a phase. It's being a teenager. I succumb to it. I've seen my friends sort of just do it out of the blue. And sometimes I like think that they do it like to much more of an extent than I potentially have ever done. And I'm like, how are they not getting slapped and beaten up right now? Because if I ever said anything that out of pocket, I would be fearing for my life, to be honest. But that's a bit of a joke. But anyway, you see what I mean. People just neglect the importance of family. The older I get, as an analogy, the more that I don't care about how many Christmas or birthday presents I get, the more I care about just spending the quality time with family, having the quality conversations, and just being an all-round sociable, good person among those that I know and love. That's just such a good feeling, and people often do neglect that. And that is why they feel lonely, because among those that unconditionally love them, family will always unconditionally love you, meaning that no matter who you are, they will love you. They don't like have that exact same reciprocation, and so they feel a disconnect there, and they will just get that pang of loneliness, because the more you treat your elders and your siblings just better, the more you're not like outright insulting and just, but the more that you're actually just normal and nice to these people, the more that they will like you, the more that they will unconditionally love you, and the more that they will love you and give out their radiance of energy upon you to actually make you feel accepted within a family. Because obviously if you're not with a family, your family is the easiest way that you can possibly be socially accepted. So talking to your family more, setting aside time of your day to do so, will benefit you invariably and help you overcome this potential lonely feeling. And this is especially potent if you live not necessarily on your own, but maybe with a partner or something like that, and you're away from like your family. You can get those pangs of loneliness a lot more, because it's like homesickness in a way. You're lonely because the one place that you felt truly socially accepted throughout your entire life as a child is now gone. And so you constantly get those gut feelings of feeling so out of place because you're living in your own house and everything's new. You haven't properly started your own family yet, so you can't feel any other social acceptance. So yeah, that's just one thing that I recommend you doing. And the third way to get rid, or at least stop the occurrence for a temporary time, I suppose, of these weird pangs of loneliness is self-reflection of situations. I've been in the gym countless times when it's been dark. I've got home from school, it's gotten dark, so I had like a extra club lesson or whatever, and I've gone into the gym, and it's been like fun. It's felt quite cool and stuff to be working out in the dark and stuff. But suddenly, when it was this random Sunday, and this was completely different to other Sundays where I've done the exact same thing, I just felt odd and lonely, and like I was abandoned and isolated from every other human being on the planet. I felt like I had no other real social connection. Maybe that's because 5, 7, or 8 houses down the road, I could hear people cheering because there was some kind of house party going on that maybe I wasn't invited to or something like that. And I can just hear people walking down the street and stuff that just sets off the subconscious thoughts that you can't get rid of. And like, while you don't think they affect you, they do in the end. But that's the kind of situation, because you can be alone and it feel like nice. You can reflect and have some alone time, which is useful to everyone. But you can also, one, be with people and feel lonely, which is what I talked about in the first point. You can feel alone and not feel lonely, and feel alone and feel lonely. You have to understand which situations the likeliness of those are to occur in. You could be walking in the woods at night, at day, and that could be one of the most relaxing experiences for you to be alone. That could be a good thing. I'm not saying to stop doing that because you feel like you'll experience those pangs. You just have to understand your own social, and you have to understand your own situations, your own sort of things. I don't stop going to the gym now in the nights and the evenings because I don't want to experience any pangs of loneliness. It's just like one random emotional trigger could have set me off. Someone could have been walking down the street and like cheered or something, and it would have set off some kind of random thought spiral that would have meant that I would have felt that pang like milliseconds later or something. That's how quickly these things like compute inside of our brains. But as I say, it's an emotional thing. It's not going to be forever gone. Maybe just try to understand the triggers that are going to cause it, and say that it's just my brain being my brain. It's just my brain being its like little tribal thing where it's just like trying to make sure that it's not going to get killed or eaten by the tiger or the lion. And you just have to ignore it and understand what it's trying to do to actually help you out. But like, obviously, in your modern situation, it may not be the right thing for you at the time. But yeah, with that, that's the 3 things that I have used and sort of understood to actually help combat loneliness. But with that, I recommend subscribing, because I like this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves. So much more than they already have, and good luck.